Can I tell you something like that I probably haven't ever said? I was so obsessed with my own game when I was playing that quite often when managers were speaking, I didn't listen. Hello and welcome to another episode of That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch. Chris Stark and Statman Dave are with me as usual, but it's not as usual, is it? There's somewhere different.
There's a bust with something on the back, Chris. There's some champagne bottles. It's a bit different from the pub.
We're in Crouchy's house. We're not in the pub. What would you call this room? Is this the office?
This is the office, but there's a lot of obviously memorabilia. Like I've just been sort of packed off in the office really, and all the stuff that was upstairs. Ab's been very nice and seems to have put it up, but he's quite self-indulgent.
Yeah,
there's a lot of me going on in here.
It really is. I mean, there's one of those giant cardboard cutouts, sort of life-size cardboard cutout of you there. Looks like someone smashed your face in.
That was me who did that, actually. It was in the garden, and I put me in goal, and I was just pinging balls, and he saved one off his chin, and that's why it's been smashed.
You're right, Dave. There's a bust of yourself on your desk there, like quite a large. Who gave you that?
Well, that was stole from World Cup Live in 2010, I think it was. Abby did it. She did it with James Corden. And that was one of the things in the set. And I've also got David Beckham upstairs because I don't think he claimed his one.
When you say upstairs, what do you mean? Is Beckham sort of staring at you? Where does that?
Ab likes to keep it in the bedroom.
It's such a great room to be in, Dave. Have you got any questions? There's a lot to take in here.
There is a lot. The caps on the wall as well. England caps. They look absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
The greatest goal you scored, do you say, Crouchy, this is a kick?
I think so, mate. Yeah, that's obviously a really nice picture. It's been coloured, graded, and, it was a gift actually for Christmas. It had to go up. It's my favourite goal, I think.
And then, of course, you've got some boots here. I like that you've gone and got them framed, or someone's gone and got them framed for you. I always imagine if I'd played in one of these games that you have a picture of a momentous moment, like your celebration is normally happy. One of the pictures in one of the frames just you arguing.
Yeah.
Is that one of your favourite arguments in football?
Only because it was the World Cup and that's Cristiano Ronaldo.
It is.
So me arguing with what possibly the greatest players of all time, I think it was just that someone actually sent me that to sign, and I thought I should keep that. So they didn't get a signature and lost the photo, but I appreciate them because it's in my office now.
That's the risk you run, isn't it? If you send a picture to a celebrity to get it signed, that they might just have it for themselves.
They might like it and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's such a great picture. Do you remember what was being said?
Remember the exact moment? Yeah, it was. We were down to 10 men then. And that one of their players went out and we were going to win the game, obviously. And I went up the other end and instead of kicking the ball out, I tried to have a shot. They were fuming. A lot of Portuguese around me and Cristiano was one of them.
That was after the wink, wasn't it?
Yeah. He did had the wink before. I mean, I actually came on, me and Owen Hargreaves came on after Rooney got sent off. And it was a great game. We should have won that game, If we'd had 11, I think we would have done.
It's gagging for a caption competition, this picture, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
We'll take a picture of it and put it up on socials and let people try and...
I think the main one that would come back would probably be how the fuck are you on the same pitch as me? It's a World Cup, you idiot. How did you get here?
But he looks rattled. In the picture, he's got his arms out like he's flapping, like he's angry.
He looks scared.
But you're almost teaching him a lesson. It's like the way you're talking to him is like almost pointing at him, going, no, this is how it is. Yeah.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, do you... Imagine if the person who sent this picture of Ronaldo and you is listening to this.
Yeah, I mean, they're out there. I mean, you'd like to think they're fans of me if they're asking for so they might listen to the pod and potentially go, oh God, I sent that pic.
Yeah, but
so if you do get in touch, and I'll print you one off, not that one. That one's mine now.
Oh, some great stuff in here. 100 goals. This is a mad one. So you see the signed footballs. And I think a lot of football fans, if you're lucky enough to get memorabilia from the club, it's quite cool to get a team match ball, isn't it? And it all signed by the players. I've got one of these from Watford, but the players clearly couldn't be asked at all. The signatures are just a squiggle on the ball. You can't even tell what the players are that are on the ball. But with Crouchy's there, that's a Champions League ball, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the Champions League ball, yeah. Young boys, it was a hat-trick I scored in the qualifying rounds. But the lads obviously have written, little messages on there.
Yeah, exactly.
I just out the corner of my eye here now, I can see one there. Well done, Skinny.
Who's that from?
That's from Alan Hutton. That was a Tottenham hat trick. But that's just out the corner of my eye. I'll take you through a couple if you don't mind. So this hat trick ball was at Anfield. It was the early kickoff, I think, against Arsenal when I scored a hat trick. But like some of the comments are great. You know, like you say, they're not just signatures; they relate to me, which is it's good to look back on. You know, as a brilliant big man wouldn't have done it without your old mate Pennant.
Look at this one.
Top draw, well done from Stevie G. You may get a few games now.
Rafa Benitez.
Oh no, you may get a few games now ahead of Kite. Jamie Carragher's wrote that, I think.
Rafa would have been like steady.
Yeah.
Steady, calm
on.
down.
This
Know
is
your place, Rafa.
yeah, no, you're playing. Luis Garcia. This is a good one, interesting one. I think this is Luis Garcia. Well done, big man. Let's see if you can do it 3 times in bed now.
I don't know if that even works, really.
It's quite funny. Yeah, some good ones. Cosmic from Bella's.
It's great. This it's like a museum.
It's good.
Look around.
It's good. Do you know what? It's good. Everything tells a story in here, which I think rooms should do, really, in general. Most of the rest of the house doesn't involve me at all. So, you know, it's nice to have a little bit of me.
I love it because there's all these amazing mementos, and then there's a Crouchy pot noodle down here.
Well, that's obviously my new career, where they've done a pot noodle for the podcast. There's a few podcast little references. There's a little picture on there. I've got a lot to do, trying to do a podcast.
Love it. You've got your cat here as well. Will the cat be joining us?
This is a very sociable cat, and just likes to be around people. So I apologise for that, but
it's all good.
I'm not gonna, I'm not Kurt Zuma.
Is it? Okay, fine.
So this podcast today is about team meetings. Crouch, you've had a few of those in your time. Any stand out?
Yeah, I mean, some of the biggest moments of my life, some of the worst moments of my life, some of the best, all come from team meetings, like the things that I suppose you're not privy to. And I think that's what this podcast is about, isn't it? Like sort of taking you inside things that you don't see. And they're things that are easily forgotten as a footballer at team meetings, but actually they shape your career as a player.
Yeah, I think the documentaries, All or Nothing, they really shone a light on it. And I think it's made everyone a lot more intrigued about team meetings and different approaches, different managers, all of that. So we're going to get into that today.
Before we talk about team meetings, let's give a bit of a quick update from Crouchfest. I know that you two lads have been working behind the scenes. I've been kept out a lot of the conversations. I feel like maybe that's going to bite me in the ass a bit later on, but I'm here to...
I think it's more the dick that you should be worried about personally, Dave.
Yeah, Charlie Adam could probably hit Midge's dick from 100 yards, and I think he'd definitely get yours.
Yeah. So dream scenario for me, and this is the meetings that we keep having, is sort of dream scenario stuff. And then obviously people involved have to kind of tell us to rein it in because there's an audience and there's health and safety and, there's So when we say what we would like is a footballer pelting balls at Dave, suspended in air, dressed as a fly with like a rubber schlong between his legs.
Shall I take out insurance? Shall I buy one of those cups that you play with cricket?
No, it'll all be. The thing is, if it happens, it will all be done in a health and safety way. It'll all be fine. Last I heard, it might be good news for you, Dave, or worse, I don't know. But the midge's dick thing might not be in the arena. There's an issue with it being in the arena.
So we're talking like some scaffolding and me being dangled over outside or a crane.
I don't know. Well, the thing is, the problem is we can't do it in the venue, so it might be worse because it could be elsewhere.
I've got to say, other plans for Crouchfest in terms of music, in terms of even we had a couple of drinks and just fired out a load of invites to people. We're getting quite personally involved in this, aren't we?
Yeah. No, we have to. We've got to make it a reflection of us, haven't we? And it's incredibly exciting. I mean, the talks that we are sitting in are amazing.
Some of the no's we've had, bearing in mind some of the things we've asked if they will do, is great. I won't say what we asked them to do, but for example, you got a great reply from Ricky Gervais, sadly not available.
Yeah,
the thing that we wanted.
But, you got to aim for the stars, and he's a big star, isn't he? Unfortunately, he won't be attending. But
it was such a good idea.
It would have been good.
It was such a good. He even said it was a good idea.
He said it was a good idea. He complimented on his idea, and he actually suggested other names.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's away. We are, of course, giving away tickets for Crouchfest, and we'd love to hear your stories, and obviously best stories win tickets. So far, there's a couple of lads who said they'd get their asses out or come as seahorses. They were the only two options they gave us, but we quite enjoyed it. And that is Sam, who's actually got in touch with you, Chris, hasn't he?
He did, yeah. They're so happy. I don't think they expected that we would come through, and obviously they've heard us then talking about it on the podcast. So you're right, Crouchy. What we want is people who want to volunteer ideas or kind of what you will do to get a couple of tickets to Crouchfest, and we're holding some back so that we can get some of you guys there through means that you can decide. And I'm taking up this role of head of advertising again. I've done it before, we'll do it again. It feels now's the time that we need to really start shouting about it. So it's Wembley. We need you to pass the pod. We need you to talk about Crouchfest. We need you to basically advertise it the same way you do with this podcast, so we can just turn this thing into the night that we can all imagine that it's going to be.
I think Liam Gallagher summed it up so well, didn't he? It's good people having a fucking good time. That's all Crouchfest is.
You've been doing your bit as well, Crouchy. You've designed a little poster here.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, well, like obviously you're head of advertising, so I've got to run this past you. But I've basically drawn an advert that we think can go in the Samrat. I don't know how many eyes it's going to get, but you know, the one in Blackpool did okay, didn't it?
Yeah, and also it's a bit like what they do with Glastonbury. They do something quite small. They just put a poster in a window announcing the headliner, and then it goes everywhere. So that's kind of what we're attempting with this.
Yeah, so if you do see the Crouchfest poster in the Samrat, please share it on your social media and just get the word out there, really, because this is it's going to be our only billboard. Biggest night of the year. And it's November the 19th at Wembley Arena. And then there's a picture of the Wembley Arch with us facing it, dreaming. I mean, I'm just imagining us sort of dreaming of Wembley, really.
If you want to get tickets, go over to thatpetercrouchpodcast.com to check out all that good stuff.
I think I'd like to start with the very basics of the team meeting. So when you file into a room, is there a hierarchy in terms of status in the team, or how does it work? Like, talk me through going in, sitting down, how it all works, who goes near the front, are the more parched near the front?
You just nailed it, Chris. Yeah. My work's done. It's a definite parching scenario near the front. The more vocal sort of people in the meetings, and it all depends what kind of meeting it's for. You know, if it's a traditional sort of team meeting or a debrief, you know, there's going to be sort of chat, and they might ask you some questions. And usually the more vocal be at the front, like the skipper, you know, the right-hand man, parched, and various other sort of parched pretenders. And then there'll be, you know, people that don't want to speak as far back as possible. And then you'll have some staff members, and then maybe a Statman Dave would normally be around the team meeting, certainly now, would, you know, be giving you the stats on how you played on the weekend, but how they've even called. I mean, we'd all be in the gym or something like that, and then the captain might say, "There's a meeting, don't be late," and everyone rushes around. Whatever you're doing, you've got to be late. And if you're 1 minute late, it's not. You don't want to be late to those meetings, especially if you've played badly on the weekend and you roll in late. I mean, that is a bad place to be. But yeah, as soon as we get in there, then we'll just we'll continue with the meeting. It all depends on what the topic is.
So when these take place, so you have one on, let's say, a Monday that'll be maybe looking at the previous weekend, then you have another one on Friday looking into the fixture coming up. Is that like the standard just 2 a week?
Yeah, I mean, like depends. Like some managers love a meeting, you know, I mean, like there'll be meetings for everything, and they're not ideal. I mean, you know, we'd rather be all out on the training pitch, but it got to a stage where actually, you know, sometimes when the weather's that bad outside, you can't really explain what we're going to do in a training session. So the meeting might happen, you know, if we're at, you know, Stoke, for instance, and the weather's horrific and like it's cold, it's raining, you can't get to 20 men. It's hard to sort of get what you want across. So we'll do like a meeting about training, and we'll go, right, this is what we're trying to get out of it. This is the problem. Then we'll go out in the hailstones and try and perfect it. But
have you ever been Phil Browned as a punishment? So sort of like the managers decide to do a team meeting outside where it's cold and have you all sat down as
yeah. The worst ones, like, you know, if training's been shit and the standard's been sloppy, and quite often the manager will stand back and let the coaches take the session. But if the training's that bad, like he'll step in and go, whoa, come in. And you go, well, hold on a minute. Like you can see like a couple of people have given the ball away. Victor Moses springs to mind. And he was a great player, Victor Moses, but we used to call him the session wrecker. And it's harsh. It is harsh. But if you played with him, you know what I mean. Like really talented player, like great on a Saturday, awful trainer. And yeah, I mean, he would just wreck the odd session, and like then it sort of goes into other people's play, and you know, the session would go badly, and then the manager will call it in and go like, "Do you think that's good enough? We've got Liverpool on Saturday. Do you think they're training like this?" These kinds of things, just to butt your ideas up. But then the next sort of passage of training, you know, it's quite nerve-wracking. You're like, if you're on the ball next and you've got to clip a 20-yard ball into the front man or something, and you mess that up, it's like spirals, and sometimes you can't get out of a terrible training session. It's just a terrible training session, and you just got to write it off. But it's the day before a game. These happen. You know, these do happen. I always remember we did a we did a passage of play, shadow play. It was like goalkeeper to the centre half along the back, down to the full back, into the front man, set in behind, run up, cut it back, finish into an empty net. So totally unopposed. I remember we were going through this little spell of playing badly, and almost like, I remember the ball went off the pitch a little bit, and we're not playing against anyone here, bearing in mind. The ball went off the pitch, we retrieved it, and we got back in, and then someone tried to ping a pass that went out of play, and it was all getting a bit worse. So the manager stepped in and said, "This is fucking useless," right? Anyway, I always remember it. Went back to our centre half, and obviously the goalkeeper, because he's not threatened, there's no opposition, he's come out of his goal a little bit. And I remember he went to pass it back, but didn't look, and scored an own goal. Oh. So we were basically 1-0 down against no one, right?
Needed to return, you're picking balls out of play.
Yeah, and I thought, oh my God, we've lost 1-0. And we've fucking not played anyone. Like, what chance have we got tomorrow?
What team was that?
Can't tell you.
Oh, no, come on.
We did all right that season as well.
I don't think that's ever been done, is it? Go 1-0 down.
We lost 1-0
with no one
doing shadow play. We wrapped it up, and it was one of them where you just you go, that was embarrassing. If anyone saw that, that was shambolic. I think sometimes you play well on the Saturday. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just, and also you get more nervy because like people are watching you. It's hard. It's like, not that people aren't watching you on a Saturday, but it's just the lads are ruthless, and if one little pass wrong, so people are. It was just bad state of affairs.
With Victor, with the session wrecker, right? So he's had a bad one there. Does the manager have a go at you all in that instance? Because it's almost one player not doing it. Is the standard is low for everyone, or is one player getting a bollocking?
One particular player, but I think it's we are a team, aren't we? And I think that it breeds sort of like that thing of standards is so high in training every single day. Like, you have to have high standards. They have to be like, if you're a little bit sloppy with a pass, it breeds into everything you do, and it might breed into a Saturday. So all the standards, certainly at elite level clubs, at top level clubs, that you have to have top standards. You can't fall below them because you'll get beat.
Did you ever quite enjoy watching people getting told off by the manager?
That's the best thing ever.
Yeah, because it's like whenever I watch that clip of Brendan Rodgers and Sterling, he's just steady. And I really sort of enjoy seeing players getting told off like that, because it's quite, I think it just brings us all back to that feeling of being told off by a teacher. But you must have seen some great ones.
Yeah, I've seen some beauties.
But then all of your teammates as well probably think the same as you. Like, it must be quite fun watching someone.
Well, like so obviously when someone's dug out, like, is quite good. And I try and answer back and get killed. But like Harry he was his funniest when he was angry, So I mean, you just don't want to get on the wrong side of him, because it's just one of those people that could, I love him, and he was always really good with me. But like, you step out of line, he'll tell you in such a cutting way, and that everyone else is laughing at you. But obviously not in public. But it's tough. It's tough to take. But he was very cutting.
It's quite interesting because All or Nothing, the Arsenal doc, Arteta takes a lot of them, or it appears that he takes a lot of them, that he is very focused on him, and how he feels and how he delivers these things. Do you think that's a new age style then, a beanbag style in a sense?
A beanbag style, I love that. Yeah, I think it probably is. I mean, there's some managers, everyone's different. I mean, the old school way was sort of let your coaches get on with it. And obviously you've been in those meetings and you've set exactly what you want, and then you tell your coaches how you want that implored. But now I think like I say, but then Rafa, for instance, wanted to do everything himself, absolutely everything. Harry not so much. I'm trying to think. Capello maybe a bit more old school. Sven always had his little tactics board out, which wasn't, it was never big enough. It was literally that size, and like you move things around on it, and
that explains a lot.
Crouchy, yeah, well, yeah,
didn't really change, did
it? No, not a lot changed.
But there was no room on the board, so it all makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe that was our problem. No room on the board.
But this isn't the use of technology by managers in the meetings. You must have seen so much change. And then you see it on the documentaries. You're right, Dave. Where do managers almost need to be learning how to use PowerPoint now and stuff like that as part of the badges?
That's definitely it. Yeah, I did my coaching badges, and a lot of it was to do with PowerPoint presentations. And I didn't realise, obviously I've never gone for a manager's job, but like speaking to people now, I'm of the age where people are going for jobs, and they're going into jobs and they have to present themselves. And I'd struggle with that. Like I'd need someone alongside me, or I already need an assistant to go into the interview, because like the PowerPoints is like, you've got to look at patterns of play that, the team that you're potentially going to manage, and say, how would you improve that? And you'd say, this is what I do here, this is what I do here, and have slides and clips and stats and things to back up your argument. And, it's well documented that, Brendan Rodgers, when he got Liverpool job, I've documented that size, he's gone in and said, this is how I feel, this is a blueprint of how Liverpool can go forward. And that's impressive. And, how am I going to go in and beat Brendan Rodgers with that? And I go, well, I just think we should probably drop him. And I'll go with 2 up.
Have you seen a manager like Redknapp try and bring technology into their game and then struggle?
Yeah, but the thing is with Harry, for instance, obviously, like he wouldn't have grown up with that. It would have been you see the game through your own eyes, you make your own judgments, and then you say what you've seen. I suppose with that you can't back up what you've just seen. You can't show them exactly. There's no way of getting out of it because this is what you're seeing it yourself. Now he just adapted. Like that's what he was so good at, and that's why he's such a good manager and stayed in the game for so long, because he just adapted to each era, if you like. So he had people, and actually Michael Edwards, who took over at Liverpool, who became obviously the sporting director at Liverpool. He was the analyst at Tottenham and Portsmouth under Harry. So I mean, he had. Obviously now we know how good he is at his job and how much he's improved Liverpool with his methods. But he was the analyst in the, we used to go to him for stats and things like that, and he was very, very good. But, he brought him in and he got a good team around him. And I think, you know what your strengths and weaknesses are as a person. And Harry can spot a play, he can pick a team. He knows tactics, he knows, with his own eyes, but then he's got people around him that can do the other side of the game that is new and he doesn't understand.
He just can't use an iPad.
No, of course not. I mean, he had the old Nokia. I remember he had the Nokia. We're on iPhones now. Do you remember the old long Nokia thing that you put in the car? And that was his car phone. He still had that. Years.
Yeah, I can't imagine Tony Pulis embracing the technology too much, or did he cross over? He didn't have a Pulis pad.
But he did. No, but he did. He was the same as Harry, but he had people around him that were good. That could do that.
Yeah,
it's almost like another language. Like when you go on, an Instat or a We Scout or anything like that, or a Pro Zone, you have to do it properly. You have to know the shortcuts. It's like watching
what's We Stat?
We Scout.
Oh, sorry.
It's like a platform where you have all the stats and all the videos and games.
Right,
stuff.
talk us through this. So what's going on here, Dave?
This is good, I've got into this recently. I'm on the Instat.
Is it like everyone's got a preference of what stat site you go for?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Stat Hub.
Yeah. I can tell you about sitting in team meetings, but you could probably tell us more about the meeting behind the meeting.
The meeting behind the meeting, the actual juice of the meeting. So these platforms give you the ability to basically look at anything within a game. So let's say we're looking at Manchester City this season and there's a problem in the side. Let's say Guardiola's seeing, okay, Jack Grealish isn't creating enough opportunities, isn't scoring enough goals, isn't getting enough assists.
So the Cats come to join in, like Cat's interested.
You can very much drill exactly into what Jack Grealish is doing on match day. So you could look across the season in terms of his goals, his assists, his fouls, his shots.
I don't understand who's making this. So this is all. Do you have to be a stat person to be allowed?
So basically you have a license on whichever database you're going with. They'll have teams of analysts that will code all the games, or use computers to do it. And then basically with a click of a button, we can look at Jack Grealish's one foul that he got against Italy, and it will literally open up that foul and show you the foul.
And you can watch it.
And it will show you the foul.
What is going on? So
it's amazing.
So this exists. So anyone could do this.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it, you could do it.
You'd have to be a nerd.
Basically.
Yeah, well, let's go back then. Elliot
Newby.
Okay.
So what I quite like about it is he's quite good at finding underlaps or overlaps. So in these positions, he's quite aware of playing a pass in behind the defence.
What position does he play?
So he plays either attacking midfield in a 3-4-2-1, or he plays on the right-hand side in a 4-3-3, left-hand side in a 4-3-3. Sometimes plays number 10. Also plays quite a lot in a 3-5-2, either central midfield on the right or central midfield on the left.
But what are you going to do with him?
This is the question with him, because he's quite an interesting player. So he's got a bit of a weird skill set where he's really good on the dribble. He can beat a man easy.
No, what I mean is he sounds great.
Yeah.
But then do you email managers on his behalf?
No.
So I've just been looking at videos of Elliot Newby. I think he'd be great in your
Someone's
team.
given me his name. Like, take a look at this guy. I take a look and I send some stuff back.
Do you think he could play at a higher level?
I think he's got potential, yeah, for sure.
When you're playing in the youth team, there are people that only go to youth team games, and like you see, and they're just fans. So just say people like Dave, but like I got so much sort of love for those people. They just love the game. They go and they just want to watch young players and say they've. It's like when you go and see new bands.
Yeah, that's what Dave does, but through the computer. He doesn't go and he doesn't want to see the match or anything.
No.
He just wants to focus on scouting for guys. That's what Dave is. Let's get them at Crouchfest. He's so lovely.
Could someone make like a Tinder?
Darby.
Could someone make a Tinder for Dave? Yeah. So you just go like players and you just see their highlights, and if they're no good, you just keep swiping like that.
Scouting for guys.
Oh shit! Start that one. Oh, hold on a minute.
That'd be quite fun.
Well, actually, do you know what? You're onto something here, because there's so much information in this stat thing that we could turn all that information into a swipey thing.
Yeah, Tinder. It'd be really fun.
Yeah,
we could make that easier for the the current generation of scouts who want it now.
Are you saying managers as well in a board moment could just be flicking through?
No, match.
Imagine that. Imagine showing Redknapp. He'll do the advert as well, no doubt. If we're talking team meetings, we've got to talk Arteta. Obviously, so many people will have seen the Amazon Prime documentary and his team meetings. And it's amazing, isn't it? Because he does the team meetings and they obviously cut between the players' faces. And even though they're looking serious of face, you can just see the sparkle in the eye. You tell us, if you were sat there listening to some of this, like, you need to be more like an avocado. Or whatever it is like.
It's the drawing, wasn't it? I think there's the drawing in the
heart and the brain.
Yeah. There's a few things that, but I know when you're in it, aren't you? And you only hear that manager and you get used to his ways and you don't really think of it like that. But when you take yourself like out of that dressing room and see it probably for what it is, it's a bit mad.
Here is something Arteta said, right? And I'd like you to deliver it in your best Arteta.
Edison invented the light bulb. Today I want to see a team that is connected, because a bulb by itself is nothing. I want to see a team that is connected with each other, that shines. Each of us needs to play the game connected, because what happens when we play connected, guys? We connect with 60,000 people who create more energy, because electricity through heat creates light and life, because if not, it would be fucking dark. What makes us special is our attitude. And today I want you to play with that attitude. Go out there, turn the fucking light on and play football. Let's go.
It is good, isn't it?
Actually, that is an amazing speech.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's the right environment. Like, I think if Bill Gates had said that, it would have been groundbreaking. But why can't Mikel Arteta say it in an Arsenal dressing room and it not be groundbreaking?
I think he's seen Pep do this for 3 years, do loads of wild stuff, and thought, I'm going to take that on board.
It is an amazing, like when he's saying there, like we can create light, and the electricity that we generate will generate crowd, and that will be the light that we create.
It's an amazing. It's the word analogy.
Analogy, yeah.
So I've always loved when managers, even in the post match interviews, they use analogies. Some managers are just better than others. Like Arteta, to be fair, has followed that through. He must have thought about it before, because if he's just started with the light bulb thing and then has to keep going, he's actually sounded out quite well.
This is my issue with it. Like he's done his homework on it, and I don't know, that loses something for me.
Is there one particular team meeting where you remember feeling that the manager was doing this real inspiring, because that's what that is. It's fucking, let's go.
Can I tell you something like that I probably haven't ever said? Is that like, I was so obsessed with my own game when I was playing that quite often when managers were speaking, I didn't listen. And I don't know if I should say that or not, but I don't know. I was so focused on, I'm thinking of the two centre halves that I'm about to play against, and I'm thinking, who can I pull on? Which way can I go? What do I do on crosses? What are their weaknesses? What are they? And like when the manager was talking, I was always thinking about what I was going to do personally. And like he'd go through the defence, and I go, it doesn't concern me. I'm just focused. And I feel like, I don't know, there was too much going on in my world to worry about everyone else's. And I think some managers blatantly say it, concentrate on your own jobs, and if you will win your own individual battles. I mean, it's the most old school way of talking, but if you do that and you do win those battles, you invariably will win the game. So the way I looked at it was, if I score, if I bully my two centre halves and I give them a hard game, if my touch is spot on every time it comes into me and I don't give the ball away and I take my chances, we'll probably win the game. Like, I'm not asked about light bulbs and electricity at that stage. I am totally concentrating on my own game.
I think that's fair, and I think it's a different way to look at it, because sometimes there is too much information, it's too many little intricacies, and you move away from your own identity.
Exactly, and I also feel like if you're, if you need a G'ing up at that. Obviously through training, like you listen to the manager constantly, right? But on game day, like if someone needs to tell me what I need to do, what the fuck have we been training for the last 5 days? All the information has been shared, all the job description is gone, and now all I've got to do is focus on me doing it correctly. It's it's what you train for, and I think now if someone does a rousing speech beforehand, it's more just like, yeah, like, come on, like, it's not really anything sort of tactical, it's just something like, let's get going. But I was totally focused on what I was doing and nothing else.
See, I think I'd laugh. My problem is in awkward situations, I laugh, and then all someone needs to do is like, just like get me in the leg, like just nudge me a bit. Whenever we'd have work meetings where we'd all be sat there, I'd be finding something really funny, and I can't. I really struggle.
But I think everyone's got that.
You're that guy. But I also think you're that guy that could wind up people around you.
Yeah. There's been times in the past where, like, I know I've got you next to me who does laugh at things like that, and he'll say something, and you'll just do like, you won't even have to look at them. You'll just do like, the quick movement up, like, and that's enough. Like, he'll say something like, we need to connect with 60,000 people who create energy, and I'll go, and if you give someone the side eyes like that, you've gone. That you won't be able to. Like, I was like sex education at school. I was Miss Munley. She would say, Miss Munley would say the word penis. My mate Ed was next to me, and she'd say penis. And obviously, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm looking straight forward, but she'd say penis, and I go, And I just do the eyes like that. And you've gone, haven't you? You can't. How do you control that? Vagina. And just do the eyebrow raise. Too much. I remember getting moved to the front. Right? And I got to show you. And I was moved, and the wall was here. And like she would say, you know, penis inserted, and my whole body would be going like the whole body would be moving, and then I could hear Ed and Herman laughing behind me, and it was enough. I knew I'd won.
You were even competitive in sex education with Mrs. Mungley.
Oh, Miss Munley, she was great. She took it well. I got sent out a few times, but she took it well.
You can't say that about sex education.
So you mentioned the board with Sven. What else was in his team meetings?
We had a group of players there, obviously well known as the golden generation, and the players were so good that it was. I don't know if it needed maybe a stronger manager. Like obviously he's managed at top teams and stuff like that, but like his way was sort of go and let us play. And for me, it was good for me that because like as I explained before, like I was concentrating on my job and stuff like that. But I think I don't know, structurally and tactically, like there was ways that we could have, you know, got the best players into the team. You know, we were so strong in like central midfield. We could have got, you know, we could have played three at the back, for instance, or wing backs, or, you know, we could have played with some more flair players going forward. It was such a rigid sort of 4-4-2 formation. And my worry was that we probably didn't have, you know, his team meetings weren't probably as good as they should be, you know, but it's difficult for me to say that because he gave me my England debut, believed in me, and you know, I don't want to look like a turncoat, but I felt like maybe a stronger leader at that time could have been the difference, maybe.
So was it like, you know, you'd have your Gerrards and your Lampards, and would they talk about what we were going to do in that game against that opposition, or how would that sort of come about?
Yeah, that's like I say, I think it was too much policing of our own getting done. And like you say, in that dressing room there, you've got so many characters and so many opinions that can become fragmented. You maybe need someone to say, this is how we're playing, you know, rather than the leaders in the dressing room sort of taking more control of that. And that was where player power comes in. But if we'd had, I don't know, and I think that, then we said that and we had Capello, which was, that's why we went from Sven to Capello, and that didn't work. So, you know, maybe it wasn't that, but it was something that I felt that it could have, certainly that World Cup in 2006 when you look at the team we had. But then there's individual errors and mistakes that are made in there that you can't legislate for tactically, but you just sort of never know, do you? It wasn't a huge amount on tactics. There wasn't a huge amount on sort of the way we play. It was a case of, you know, you're all top players, you know, play like you do at your clubs for England. And unfortunately, I think we see it now. Like England look more as a team, if you know what I mean. Like when you look at them, you don't see clubs. The Scouse Manchester thing, you know, and you know, you've got that sort of London, the North thing, you know. Like unfortunately, that is how it was then. It was more divisive, I think, as a football, the way football was then, and the way I think the Premier League was better for it, but I think the national team suffered because of it.
Yeah, because you go back to that era, super competitive in the Champions League, all the English teams, all the Premier League title races were all brilliant, but it was a lot of not divisive characters, but like characters that would create that siege mentality. Like Fergie would do it at United, Mourinho would do it at Chelsea, Arsene Wenger to a point would do it at Arsenal. But like you're saying, that doesn't bring people together.
Also, the way the league is now as well, like the top teams now are littered with foreign players who aren't English. So the main players at Chelsea, we can name Frank Lampard, Joe Cole, John Terry. Manchester United, Beckham, Scholes, Neville, but you know, Liverpool, obviously Gerrard, Carragher. You know, they're all English players in an English team that are fighting tooth and nail for things. And listen, it's been said before and it will be said again, but I think the Premier League was a different beast and England was a different beast to what I see now.
Question.
Yeah.
Do either of you two believe, Stato, legend, there is a stat that genuinely can prove hard work and represent hard work?
This is a tough one, I think, really tough one, because you look at I did a lot of Tottenham games under Nuno and then under Conte. And under Nuno, I think between the team, I think they were running 13 kilometres less, over a kilometre a player less than under Conte, which is a hell of a lot, right? Mad. But obviously the results reflect that, but I also think that there's teams, we've lost to teams previously that have run less than us, and they've battered us, So it's a difficult stat. I used to run about 13 kilometres a game, right? So, which is a mad stat for a forward, but I was constantly on the move and it was never really explosive, which is mad for a forward because you usually don't run as much but are explosive. But my game was constantly being on the move, trying to get free and getting around. I was never blistering down, in behind defences. I was always just on the move and always ready for a chance. So that stat would tell you something. You wouldn't actually need to run that much, but I did. Personally, Aubameyang wouldn't need to, or Michael Owen wouldn't need to, but that was my game. And I think the running stats are, in answer to your question, I think it is misleading. Working hard isn't necessarily the game.
You need to think outside the box with this one. So when Sunday League, our manager, if your kit wasn't muddy enough, we were made to dive through muddy puddles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you Peppa Pig.
That was
great episode, lads. Crouchy, anything that the listeners should take away from the team meeting?
Well, it's nice to go in depth. I think you've shown sort of I can tell you exactly what it's like to go into a team meeting, why we go into them, and you've obviously explained, the stats and reasoning behind a team meeting, and hopefully, there's a little bit of insight there.
Remember, if you haven't got your tickets yet for Crouchfest, get them whilst you can. Head to thatpetercrouchpodcast.com. And that's where you'll also be able to submit your questions and any ideas for the pod.
Get in quick because it's going to be a great night.
It is, yeah. Good work, everyone. Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.